The war between Israel and Palestine has been one of the longest-running and most divisive in the Middle East for many years. The recent events in Gaza, which included increasing levels of violence and civilian losses, have brought this conflict back into the worldwide spotlight. Highlight following these occurrences, two prominent figures in the global scene, China and Saudi Arabia, have suggested that sanctions may be placed on Israel. This paper aims to investigate the intricate dynamics underlying the proposed sanctions, including their intentions, possible outcomes, and the wider geopolitical backdrop. It also delves into the historical background of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But more recently, tensions have been focused on Gaza, a Palestinian territory controlled by Hamas. The conflict began in May 2021 when tensions erupted in East Jerusalem over Israeli attempts to evict Palestinian families from the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, sparking protests and clashes that heightened long-standing grievances on both sides. The situation quickly deteriorated as Hamas launched rocket attacks into Israel, prompting Israeli airstrikes in retaliation. The 11-day conflict resulted in hundreds of Palestinians and a significant number of Israelis, with the world watching in horror as images of suffering and destruction emerged from Gaza, drawing widespread condemnation. Tensions are deeply ingrained, but they have recently been concentrated on Gaza, a Palestinian region under Hamas's rule. Tensions over Israeli plans to remove Palestinian residents from the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood flared in East Jerusalem in May 2021. After Hamas initiated rocket attacks into Israel, Israel retaliated with airstrikes, and the situation rapidly worsened. Hundreds of Palestinians and a sizable number of Israelis lost their lives during the 11-day battle, which left the world in shock as images of agony and devastation surfaced from Gaza and were widely condemned. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been calling for action and holding rallies against Israel's activities in Gaza. This change in position might be linked to a number of issues. Second, Saudi Arabia has been diversifying its alliances and reducing its reliance on the United States. This shift was already underway before the Gaza conflict as Saudi leaders recognized the need to adapt to changing circumstances. First, the Saudi government seeks to maintain its credibility in the Muslim world and strengthen its position as the guardian of Islamic holy sites in Mecca and Medina. Supporting the Palestinian cause resonates with the sentiments of many Muslims globally and enhances Saudi Arabia's standing in the Islamic world. Worldwide dynamics. The monarchy has been forming stronger connections with nations that provide alternatives to Western partnerships and share its Middle East goals, like as China and Russia. It is also necessary to consider the planned sanctions by China and Saudi Arabia in the larger framework of the changing geopolitical environment. China's involvement in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is indicative of its ambition to be a major player in Middle East affairs, challenging the traditional dominance of Western powers. China has been steadily gaining influence in the region through diplomatic engagement and economic investments. The United States has historically been a steadfast supporter of Israel, giving it diplomatic cover and military assistance. Saudi Arabia's changing position toward Israel and its closer ties with China are part of a larger strategy to diversify its alliances and reduce its reliance on the United States. This strategy is motivated by a desire for greater independence and flexibility in regional politics. The planned sanctions between Saudi Arabia and China may sour relations with us and make America's involvement in the area more difficult. The engagement of China and Saudi Arabia in the Israeli-Palestinian issue might further complicate regional dynamics and possibly lead to new alliances and tensions in the already volatile and complicated Middle East, which is home to multiple ongoing wars and rivalries. Although the proposed sanctions by China and Saudi Arabia have not yet come to pass and it is unclear if they will, their very consideration has prompted discussion about the advantages and disadvantages of taking such action to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The effectiveness of the proposed penalties in changing Israeli conduct or policy is one of the main concerns surrounding them. Although sanctions may apply diplomatic and economic pressure, their ability to resolve deeply ingrained issues like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has traditionally been uneven. Israel has demonstrated a strong commitment to its security issues and has withstood international criticism and sanctions in the past. Additionally, the United States is a key player in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, giving Israel substantial military and diplomatic backing. Those supporters of sanctions contend that they can be used as a tool to increase international pressure for a ceasefire and negotiated settlement by drawing attention to Israel's actions in Gaza. The United States may be reluctant to support sanctions against its ally. Nevertheless, any significant change in the dynamics of the conflict would likely require the United States' active involvement and cooperation. The international world has responded to the Gaza crisis in a variety of ways, with some countries and groups demanding an early ceasefire. The proposed sanctions also draw attention to the larger problem of how the world responds to Middle Eastern crises and the significance of major powers in this regard. The Middle East has seen numerous conflicts, such as the Syrian civil war, the Yemeni civil war, and ongoing tensions in Iraq and Iran. These conflicts have frequently been marked by significant humanitarian crises and instability, with various international actors pursuing their interests in the region. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is just one of many in the region, and the international community's inconsistent approach to addressing such conflicts has come under fire in recent years. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the participation of China and Saudi Arabia. In the Middle East, China and Saudi Arabia share interests and goals that go beyond the Israeli-Palestinian issue. China, for example, is concerned in preserving stability for its Belt and Road Initiative projects and is largely dependent on the area for energy supplies. Because Saudi Arabia aims to gain regional influence and security, diversify its alliance, and lessen its reliance on the U.S., possible penalties are a part of a bigger strategic consideration for these countries. The readiness of China to support the Palestinian cause may strike a chord with a few nations in the area, maybe increasing its impact. Saudi Arabia's changing position in the complicated geopolitical scene is a reflection of its aim to maintain equilibrium in its relationships and safeguard its interests, even if it means taking a more critical posture against Israel, Middle East, and the two nations' larger geopolitical ambitions. Although the practical effects of such sanctions are still unknown, they have great symbolic significance and have the potential to further isolate Israel internationally. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is incredibly complicated and defies simple solutions. Sanctions may be one tool in the international community's arsenal to pressure Israel and promote a peaceful resolution, but they are unlikely to be a panacea. Thank you for following me through to the end. Please like, comment, subscribe, and make sure the notification bell is turned on so you don't miss a video.